been a long time since I've been in 2 Chronicles. I'll be honest with you. But I learned that it seems like it's a typical Old Testament story where, like last week, we experienced God's victory. Asa called on the Lord. He had only like 500,000. The other group had over 1 million, and they had 300 chariots. God showed up and he defeated them for Asa. And Asa was very, you can see that God was there. You can see the power of God. His people can see the power of God. It's transformed his life. And then, but the thing is, just like the Old Testament, it seems like there's always this thing where God rises up and does something great, and the people love him. And then after a while, which doesn't happen in our life, right? It doesn't never happen in our life. After a while, after things have settled and things are peaceful and calm, they start to forget that it was God all along that gave them the victory. And so this is what happened this week with Asa. So we moved 20 years from that victory to a new story and talking about, is God present? Is God around? The world asks that question. Asa believes a hoax that God, he decides that he's just going to believe this hoax that God isn't around. He trusted in him, and all of a sudden he decides he's not going to anymore. He's in the background, but he's not going to look behind him. This is kind of a funny story. You know, this is a series of what was I thinking, which when I think about that, like, that could be an endless list for me, by the way. Like, man, I don't know. There's so much. I don't know if I have a top 10 list of what I was thinking, but I was thinking about hoaxes, and a story came up to my mind. My family, I've been to 49 of the 50 states, never been to Hawaii. We would always do these 3-week vacations in the summertime. We would hit the west, and one year we hit the southwest, and from Indiana. And I am a big X-Files fan, and if you don't know, X-Files deals with aliens. And we were in New Mexico, and my parents loved to camp, and it seems in dangerous spots, because they like to save money. That's how we do those trips, by the way. We camp a lot. And I would just beg my dad, can we just stay in a hotel, please? Because it was much safer. But anyways, we camped near Roswell, New Mexico. And if you don't know, Roswell, New Mexico is famous for alien sightings. And I remember arriving there at night and pitching the tent up, and we could see over the city of Roswell, and just really creepy to me. And I told my parents, I'm not staying in this tent. I slept in the minivan. You know, it was a horrible night. I think if I can remember, it was really hot. And hearing lots of noises, amplified in my head. I was so convinced there was aliens outside me. I remember the next morning just looking for evidence, kind of like the ET was there or something, some Reese's Pieces or something, I don't know. But I just remember being so paranoid about these aliens, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not really worried about aliens anymore, but I've checked Google Earth for Area 51 if there's new activity or something like that, because you can scale over and look at I'm looking for spaceships, but I haven't found any yet. But anyways, Asa believes a hoax. He decides to convince himself that God is not real anymore. God's not around. Even after this victory, he convinced himself. Satan, the world, tells us that there is no God. And if there is a God, he's absent, he's harsh, he's not close. He's not close to us. It's not a close relationship. But the truth is that God is more powerful, more present, and more loving and more holy than we can ever think. Amen. We can't even, I love my son, I love my wife, not as much as God does. I can't fathom it. I can't understand it. Not as much. You know, if Asa were here today and he's not, Asa would, I would promise you, Asa would wish that he had a reset button for what he decided to do. And if we're going to kind of talk about, if Asa were here today, what he would say to us. Number one point today is that God is more present than we think. Asa would say, God is more present than we think. This is after he decided to go on his little journey of denying God, pretending that God is not real. God is present all the time. Every single aspect of your life, He is there. He is here right now. He's here when you go home. He's here at school. Sometimes you think He isn't, because of the way people out of school or government. He is there. But we have to seek Him. You have to look behind yourself and say, is He here? He is here. He is at every aspect of our lives. That's what makes Him God. He's everywhere. When we can also, as adults, Asa, by the way, at this time was like 40 to 50 years old, pretending that God was with him. We can also pretend. We can turn to other things. We don't have to. Sometimes we do things we act just like Asa's going to do here. We do things before asking God, or we take a big leap, and then you're like, oh God, please help me. But in this circumstance, Asa dug himself into a hole and still didn't ask for God's help. He still didn't want His help. The majority of the world pretends that God isn't there. They can't see Him. Just like my son, if he would not acknowledge me, it would hurt my heart. It hurts God's heart that we do not acknowledge Him. It's a relationship. God, as much as we're supposed to desire time with God, God wants that time with you. His creation, He wants to spend time with you. And when you're around, and when He's around 24/7, every single day. And we can tap into that transformational power. There's a lot of victories that we could have if we would just say, hey God, I know you're right there. I would really need your help. Asa called. When they won that victory, he called upon the Lord. They said, this is your fight. Like, give us the victory. He did. He was there. God was present. Think about this. The angels up in heaven are looking upon us right now and wondering why, just fill in the blank, your name, my name, anybody's name. Why are we not tapping into this? Why? God is right next to us. They're saying God is right next to us. We're not even recognizing He's there. We're not acknowledging He's there. We're pretending He's not even there. It's not even the good or the bad or whatever we're doing in our life. We're pretending He's not there. We're not acknowledging Him, and the angels are just confused that you would have God right next to your side. Even though, guess what? Even though people that don't know Jesus yet, God's there. That's how much mercy and grace He has. He's ready. He's ready whenever they're willing to talk to Him. He's ready. Asa, if you were here also, he would remind us of his great-grandfather, David, as he writes in Psalm 139. Great verse. This talks about His presence. Oh Lord, You have searched me. You know me. You know when I sit, when I rise. You perceive me, my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, You know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in behind and before, and have laid Your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from Your Spirit? Where can I flee from Your presence? I go up to the heavens, You are there. If I make my bed in the depths, You are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, and if I settle on a far side of the sea, even there Your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to You. The night will shine like the day. The darkness is like delight to you. For you created me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast are the sum of them. Where do I count them? They would outnumber the grains of the sand. When I am awake, I am still with you. He's been there from the very beginning. He knew before you were born, he was there. He was already in your life. He was already there. Asa would say, we could pretend that God's not there, but he is. I got a cool video I want you to watch. So this little boy, there's all the evidence pointing that he has done something, but he wants to pretend that it never happened. So please watch.
John, what are you eating? You didn't eat anything. Yeah. Okay. John, look, Mommy. Anything. Are you telling me the truth? Yeah. You didn't have any snacks? No. Let me see. You didn't have any snacks? Oh, come on, let me see. Really? You didn't have any snacks? John, come here. John, can you explain to me why the sprinkles are empty?
Well, they're not empty.
John, look at me.
They're not empty.
Did you eat those sprinkles?
No. They're not.
You know it's not nice to tell stories and to lie, right? Look at Mommy. You're not supposed to lie. Tell me now. Did you eat those sprinkles?
No. And yeah. You're pretty much.
John, you have sprinkles on your face.
No. I did not eat sprinkles. They're not.
Oh, he's pretty cute. Reminds me of some of my kids. I don't think they've gotten the sprinkles yet, but all the evidence points to this kid has got a sprinkle on his face, and he's like, oh, not there though, not there. He's a kid, he's pretending, but the thing is, we can also pretend. 2 Chronicles 15, 1 through 4. So after this victory in chapter 14, God sends a prophet. The Spirit of God came upon Azariah, the son of Oded. He went out to meet Asa and said to him, listen to me, Asa, all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you when you are with him. If you seek him, listen, if you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. For a long time, Israel was without a true God, without priests to teach, and without the law. But in their distress, they turned to the Lord, the God of Israel, and sought him, and he was found by them. Go down to 7. But as for you, be strong. Do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. And then verse 8 says, when Asa heard these words of the prophecy of Azariah, son of Oded, the prophet, he took courage. He took courage. Asa knew that God was around. He knew God. When we know God's around, it transforms our lives. Because we know we can tap into that. When we decide to do things on our own and pretend he's not there, yeah, God, I got this. There's a song by a rapper named Lecrae. I know you guys are into rap. So, anyways, it's called Backgrounds. And it's talking about He said God's going to be in the front, we're going to be in the background, the opposite. And sometimes we like to be in the front and he's in the background. But Asa, after this, also destroys a lot of idols. He already did that before this in chapter 14, but this even inspires him more. He even dethrones his own grandma, they call it Queen Mother, and destroys her idols, and he's being transformed by the power of God. His character is changing, his attitude has changed, because he knows God is there. He's given him courage. Who needs courage in this room? I do. Thank you. There's a lot of victories still to be won. But then we see in chapter 16, I'm just going to pretty much summarize this in a way, that he is surrounded by this king of Israel. He gets surrounded where he can't get out. God delivered him from over 1 million people and 300 chariots. 300 chariots is pretty scary, by the way, when you think about it. That's a lot of horses. That's a lot of power. And this guy's blocking them. They can't leave their area. And all of a sudden he decides, I'm not going to talk to God. I'm just going to talk to my enemy, pretty much, and bribe him with a bunch of money, gold and silver, and he's going to help me win the victory. Did not acknowledge God. God had given this victory over this great army, and he's totally forgot about it. Or he just said, God's not powerful enough. Have we ever said that in our head, that God's not powerful enough? I think he did. He does get a partial victory, but the thing is, if he would have followed God, he would have had the victory. It would have been peaceful. God sends this guy named Hananiah. It says, God's been watching the entire time. He watched that happen, by the way. He saw what you did. You didn't confide in him. You didn't trust him. He was there, but you didn't talk to him. And so, for this, there's not going to be any peace. And there's going to be more war. Because if he would have followed God, there would have been peace. And this person that he is buddied up with, he would have been over him too. They would have been gone. But now, there's no peace. No peace. So sadly, Asa, for the rest of his days, he gets angry at this prophet, by the way. He throws him in jail. He gets really angry with his people. Who knows what he did to them. And then he gets this foot disease, and 6 years later, and it says he didn't tap into God. He never said, God, can you help me with this? Help heal my body? No. Nope. No help from God. I'm done with God. And he died. That's it. But if Asa were here today, he would wish that he would have said, God, I was wrong. He wished he would have said, God, I was wrong. And God is merciful, and he probably would have forgiven him. But the fact is, he never said he was wrong. He just wanted to keep on going on his trek to pretending God was not there the rest of his life. Asa would say this: you can go on pretending in this life. We can pretend all we want in this life, but in death, we will know the truth. We will definitely find out. You can pretend right now that you're following the Lord. You can put on the happy face. You can turn the swearing off. You can pretend with us. But it would be a shame if you got to the grave and it wasn't real. If you're being fake right now, it's not working. It's not gonna work. We have to admit that we're wrong sometimes. Thinking about this story and knowing that if we realize that God was present, the second point is that God invites us to lean into His presence. If I knew God was present, if you guys knew God was present and you wouldn't stop pretending that he wasn't, I would say we would lean into that power. As much as power as he did for that war, that victory, there's some things that he could do some serious work in our lives. Serious work. We can experience a great awakening, as we've heard in the past, revivals, great awakenings, because they realized there was a presence of God. These people awoke and they just decided to worship God. We also need in ourselves a great awakening. I think you can turn on the news right now and say we need a great awakening. I think you can, I don't want to turn the news on sometimes because I'm going to have a bad night. I don't want to sometimes be on Facebook because I learn things I don't want to know. Here's the thing that I would have to be tapping into for transformation. ABCs: anxiety, behavior, and courage. We were down in Florida and we talked about storms all week. Kids go through storms, not hurricanes. Talk about the storms we go through in life. We've got teens going through all kinds of storms right now. I'm sure there's storms in your life as well that you could share. And one of the things I can think of, anxiety, my storm is that my family has a history of anxiety. My grandma went to the grave, I don't know how many years, of just depression and just worrying all the time. And guess what? My mother has it now. And it's tough because I know that God can do a miracle in your life. And I know if she would truly trust God, and know that she could tap into His power, she wouldn't even need medication. She wouldn't need to figure out. It's hard to know because you get a happy mom, and then you get a really sad mom. Growing up, I never knew that sad mom. I never knew that. And I know there's this storm brewing up, and it seems like it's going through even our children right now, early as even Eli's age. This anxiety, this worry, is just plaguing us like crazy. Taking over our families, just constantly just worry and doubt. Horrible. It's a lie. Okay? Matthew 6, 26 through 27. I always have to remember this. Who worries in this room? And the older I get, man, I think of myself as a very laid-back person. I mean, you probably know that, but the older I get, the more things to worry about, it seems like. Kids, you got it easy right now. Things like bills and raising kids and figure that out. But you know what? God says in His Word, right here, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? God even cares about the birds. And He just said, guess what? You're more valuable than the birds. He cares about the birds. Takes care of them. But you're so much more valuable than the birds. You have value, you have purpose. If we would lean in that transformational power with our anxiety, He would guard our hearts and He would transform our minds. He would go from a fogginess to a clarity, and to the most important part of all of this is peace. To have some peace. Because we know anxiety, the worry, it's like a rock on our back. It hurts. It's heavy. God is right here, right now. As I'm talking about that God is present, guess what? He is present right now. That means you can tap into it right now. Don't take the time. Don't wait until tomorrow or after church. You got to talk to the Lord. Talk to Him right now. Our behavior. It changed our behavior. Fellow Michigander Michael Phelps, 2016, won his 23rd gold. But between 2012 and 2016, you may have heard about him on the news for drugs and alcohol and a spiral of a messy life. He at one point locked himself in his apartment for quite a while, I guess in Baltimore, Maryland, and was contemplating committing suicide. He did not want to live. This is a guy that had won, at that point, it was about 22, and he won his 23rd. Seemed like he had it all. His friend gave him the book, Purpose-Driven Life. And he discovered that he was valuable and that he had a purpose, not through the world, but through God. He discovered that he had a purpose. And it changed his attitude. He had also had a child with somebody. They also got married. And they are now attending church. And so his mindset going into the next Olympics had changed. And he has a changed man because God helps somebody to prompt them. This is, he needs to know that God has a purpose for him. And transform his life. And one thing we like to talk about, maybe we talked about this a little last week, is that I don't feel God close to me. Sometimes I hear people say, God's not very close to me right now. As we read, he said, well, first thing you got to seek Him. And then He'll meet you. And so, as we keep talking about this over and over, and I think I share this like every week at youth group, but if you want to be close with God, you actually have to know what He's saying, and you have to actually be in the Word. And there's no excuse anymore. Okay? Like, most of you have this. Alright? There's something called a Bible app. There's Bible app. There's just like, you can tap in to God's Word 24/7. You can set it up. They got set up where you can like ding and like remind you and be annoying. No. It can remind you that you need to read. And first, you got to talk to Him. This is a relationship. You want to get closer to God, you want to know Him, you got to talk to Him. It's like you're going on a date. You wouldn't get to know your date if you didn't talk to them. And then courage. Boy, man, we need some courage these days. There's some hard stuff coming up. That's going to take some people, some godly men and women, stand up. Asa was encouraged. He had courage. I know it seemed like not for very long, but he took courage that God was with him. He was able to do things because God was with him. Men and women of the Bible. Think about his great-grandfather, David. We think of women and men in the Bible as like almost like a superhero. Did you know that you can have the same power? You know that they tapped into something that we relate to, God? That they recognized God was present and transformational in their life? David, even before the giant killed a bear and a lion. That's pretty scary. With what? I mean, my goodness, well, they didn't have a gun, so that was hard. But he had to face the giant. Who was with him? God. Who can be with you? And who is with us right now? God. We don't have to say that's back then, because that can be right now. God can do great things right now. He can also bring that great awakening in you right now. There's a lot of things that we have to do for our heart. One thing I'm recognizing as a youth pastor, and I'm slightly scared, is that I'm seeing a lot of love. That's good. I'm seeing a lot of people love people. I'm seeing a lot of love, but it seems like they're lacking the courage part to speak the truth. Now, you can love so much and it can be a shallow relationship. You can share so much truth that you can scare them away. But you have to have both equally. But I'm not sensing that there's a lot of truth going on. And that takes courage. To tell your loved ones, your friends, you're not head down the right path. You're not, if you had God in your life, that would be transformational. We need, you're the church. It's not a building, you're the church. And we need more people to tap into God's transformational power of courage. To step up and talk to their friends and family, love on them, that's great. But you got to share the truth. And love. Truth and love. Not sit on a soapbox and scream at people and tell them where they're going to go. Truth and love. We can just be like they. We can be like those people. They tap into the same power. I'm going to ask the worship team, ushers, come forward, please. If you knew today, hopefully you realize after this sermon, if you know that God is fully present, how will it change your life? If you told somebody today that God was present in their life, how would that change their life? We hear God loves you all the time. God is present. He is here. We cannot push him out. I can't push him. He's here. Let's pray. Lord, I just thank you. First and foremost, that you're here. You're with us right now. Lord, help us to not deny you this relationship. Help us to acknowledge that you're there all the time. Help us to be quick to talk to you and ask you for advice. Help us to pray to you before we do things. Lord, there's a lot of things going on in our lives, and they seem so big. They seem like that army, Lord, but help us to take courage. Lord, help us to tap into your word and be transformed. Lord, depression and anxiety is plaguing our nation, Lord, and people are so down. Lord, just surround us with your love and help us know that you're there. Help us to also surround others with love. And continue to pray for the wives, Lord, and think about their mom and the things that she's been going through, Lord. Just give her peace. Give her comfort this time. Make the pain go away. Lord, we thank you for today. And we just, as these tithes and offering are being just taken up, Lord, help us to give our all to you. And that it be our act of worship, Lord, that you would take and multiply and for your glory. In Jesus' name.